Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on how to set up a crowdfunding campaign. What I'm about to do on this webinar is I'll take you through how to set up a crowdfunding campaign on iPledg. Now, even though I'll be showing how to set it up on iPledg, this is basically the components for any crowdfunding platform. And as long as you understand these key components, then you should be able to put it up properly on iPledg or any other crowdfunding campaign that actually meets your needs. For example, if you're really looking for donation-based crowdfunding, GoFundMe is a very good one. I personally like crowdfunding campaigns on the iPledg platform that are reward-based crowdfunding campaigns, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a tick. So that's a little bit about me. My name is Dr. Dion Klein, and I'm the CEO of iPledg. I'm also the director of the WISE Academy, which is really our educational arm, lecturer at Kaplan Business School in Brisbane in business and MBA program as well. And I chair the IT Forum Gold Coast here in Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia. And that's a little bit about me. If you want to connect with me, please go to LinkedIn, search my name, and connect. A little bit about iPledg. iPledg was originally founded by a gentleman by the name of Brian Vadas in 2012, and he was doing that for a while. And about a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to acquire the platform, which I've done. And over the period of time, I've realized that, and as more platforms were coming about, that a lot of people did not know how to put together a really good crowdfunding campaign. So hence, this is what I'm doing today, is just taking you through a little bit on how to do that. So first off, what is crowdfunding? Crowdfunding, in a nutshell, is seeking money from the crowd. That can be people that you know, and more than likely people you don't know when we start seeing all of these very large amounts being raised and small amount. So that's really what it is, raising money from people outside of you, and it can include your own network, and it can include those people that are not in your network. It's been around for a long time. Actually, crowdsourcing is another term that you may hear, and that is getting opinions from the crowd. 99 Designs is a very good example where you put your concept out there and you have all these graphic designers come at you and submit their ideas of what would be a good logo or a good design, etc. Types of crowdfunding, there's basically 5 different types. There's equity-based crowdfunding, which has become more popular, especially in the US after the Jobs Act, and that's where you go out to people and they will give money. Well, actually, they will invest money into your business, and you may or may not know them. There are rules around certain equity-based crowdfunding platforms, which we're not going to go into. There's property real estate crowdfunding, that is becoming a bit more popular as we go on, and that is where people from the crowd will actually put money into a development or a property to acquire it. Then there's donation-based crowdfunding. Many popular platforms out there on this. Here in Australia, we have GoFundMe, and that's a very popular one. And that's where basically you put the cause up and people give expecting nothing in return. Then there's lending-based crowdfunding. This is another type of crowdfunding that you might hear, microfinancing, where people will go on a platform and they will say, well, here's some money to somebody in a developing nation. Might be $2,000, and then over a period of time, they will get their money back plus a certain interest rate, etc. And then the last one, which is the one that I like, is reward-based crowdfunding. So that is putting up your project, and the number of projects can be as large or small as you want. And when people back or exchange the money, as part of that exchange, they're going to be getting something in return. And that could be as simple as I'll send you a newsletter to give you updates on what we're doing, or I'll send you a certificate to say thank you for participating in this event or this project. So the key components of a crowdfunding platform, this is what we're going to go into, is the heading, a description, so the description of your crowdfunding campaign, any pictures or videos, and this is really important. It basically speaks 1,000 words. Determining the kind of campaign, or whether it's reward or donation, at least on our platform. Campaign rewards and prices. Bank and contact details are really important. Any campaign notes, as I said, the campaign video, and campaign updates. Right. So let me go into go into our website. So this is the iPledg. It's iPledg.com. And you just, if you haven't registered, you just obviously put in your name, your email address, the username that you want, and a password. You will be required to do a little bit of mathematics just to make sure that we know that you are a human being. I'd like to have you look over here, the various categories, and this will make more sense when we go back into the back end. You'll have artistic, commercial, creative, entrepreneur. Are you looking for funding, marketing? Is it for a project, small business? These are categories that you'll be able to choose that are there. And what I do is I'll go in, and even if I think that maybe you chose an inappropriate category, that there might be something better, I can do that for you. So I'm not going to register because I already can get in. But that's what you do. And then when you go in, you will see this. Right. So obviously that's our home page. Now the one I'm going to show you is one that I did for the IT Forum Gold Coast. And now this is another way that you can use crowdfunding campaign platforms. There will be maybe certain restrictions on some platforms. Some platforms only want commercial-based projects. Others don't care if it's commercial or not for profit. So here in the iPledg platform, this is where you would put your heading. So I would then put the title. You can use keywords that might get searched better. This here, I just said, sponsor the IT Forum GC, meaning Gold Coast Celebrate 2016 event. So this was the sponsorship for our Christmas party in 2016. Make it very clear of what the project is for, so people don't have to necessarily guess. Then you go in and you write what we call the description, or the body of the campaign. So this is going to be giving the description of what you're wanting to raise. And when I go in and I look at campaigns, if it doesn't come across as real, I don't even let that campaign go live, mainly because the chance of it even coming too close to their raise is probably going to be minimal. So this becomes important. You can make it keyword rich, and that is looking at what are some common keywords that Google uses that could help in some searches depending on how it's set up. Excuse me. And then you put in some pictures. So in this event, we put in the time and the date, where it was going to be, and we put some pictures in of the facility. So that way when people saw that, they could see that it was going to be a good event, and it was a bit different, and hopefully it would increase them wanting to, in a sense, sponsor. Now you can also use crowdfunding campaigns like pre-sale. So if I wanted to, I could make this a pre-sale to the event to sell tickets to ensure that I had enough. And if we didn't have enough people wanting to go to the event, then we wouldn't hold the event. All right. And then here I just put a clear description of the sponsorship, and this will make sense as we go down. And then in this case, I wanted to make sure that we did acknowledge the sponsors that we had as part of the campaign so far in order to attract more sponsors to the event. Now here, this is where where it says campaign prices, I want to choose, well, am I going to have reward-based or no reward? If I tick this campaign is donations only, no rewards, you would not see any of these. Enable multi-purchase option, that means that you could choose more than one of these, right? So right now, I'll just keep it on what we have there. And then you list in the green sponsor. So in here, I had green sponsor, silver sponsor, and then the price. And here, where you see limit, is that you can put the limit of backers that you have. So I might say there's 4, there's 3, there's 2. And here, because this campaign is finished, you'll see the number of backers that actually came on board for this. When I go in and I vet the campaign, I'll put this as a featured campaign, which will go up to the top of our slide bar. Then we only have all or nothing campaigns. So in that, what that means is that if you do not, in this case, reach the $500, then you're not going to get your money. So you have to achieve $500 or more to be able to collect the funds that you raised. The reason that we do that is I like to think that if people know that we really do need the $500 for an event to happen, then there's a bit more trust factor knowing that we're going to get the job done. Bank account becomes important because, as I said, once your campaign is successful, we want to give you your money and we need to send it to your bank account. We used to use PayPal, and then PayPal put harder restrictions on crowdfunding platforms, and we also were using Stripe. So now we've just decided to use Stripe as our, in a sense, our merchant portal, and that's been working really well. Your end date, now you can put that down. Usually 30 days is a good length of time for a campaign. If it goes more than 30 days, you really need to keep working it and keep your interest in, and also to keep everybody else's interest in as well. Now, if you wanted to add any other campaign files that gave more credibility, so say, for example, that you got support from local government about a project that you're doing, you might want to put that file up there to show that, so then people can see that you're being very honest about your campaign. And that becomes very important. One of the challenges right now in the crowdfunding industry is wondering if these campaigns are really legitimate. So the more that you can show that you are a legitimate project, you'll increase your trust, which will then therefore encourage people to come back and actually fund your project. Any campaign notes that you want to add, like for the person who's backing it, you put in there. Any campaign updates, which becomes really important, because in that way, when people go to your project, they can see any campaign updates at the bottom. Campaign video, this is very simple. If you have a campaign video that you want to upload, you put the URL there. It probably is going to be on either Vimeo or YouTube, and then we put that in. We didn't have a video with this one, but I encourage you that any campaign that you have, you really need to consider having a video. It's been shown that about like 90% of successful campaigns that go into the large numbers have a video. Okay. And then this just shows here for me how many times you revised it. I might go in and revise it as well, but we have a track. And then the excerpt is, they can be used in your theme. It's just another little tagline to describe what you're using the money for to raise. You can see over here where you can also put a featured image. So that's the one that goes at the top of that campaign that you saw on our homepage. And that's really about it. You can say, do I want comments in there? And you can add a comment, and then obviously the author, which would be you. Over here is where you have your categories. Once again, as I said, you can put things there. and I'll go through to make sure that they are congruent with your campaign. Tags become important because, once again, this helps people search for a campaign. And this here, you can have a lot. You can have it very simple. Here, I just put 3. These were common to our industry and to our organization. And then you just hit update. It'll default to draft, and if you go in and you go I just want to start it and put draft, you just put draft. Okay, so you have 3 choices: draft. If you're done with it and you want it to be reviewed, then you put in pending reviewed, and then once I review it, then it would be okay to publish. And that's pretty much it of how to set up a crowdfunding campaign. And then you just go ahead and promote it, which we'll be discussing in future webinars. So just to finish, there's a few things that are common with any successful project. The first one is to have an existing audience. I cannot stress this enough. Many times people put their campaign up there thinking that just because they put it up there, they don't have to do anything. They actually do need to work it. So one of the criteria that I will send an email to somebody who's put the campaign up, and I'll say, look, that's nice. Right now we have a campaign up there pending for $3,000. And I'll go back to the campaign owner and say, thank you very much for submitting a campaign. Just to make sure you have all these points, what is your existing audience? And if they say, look, we don't have one, that's why we're doing the crowdfunding campaign, I'll probably ask them to go to, I'll suggest for them to go to another crowdfunding platform, just because I know for the projects that we like to promote, they are reward-based, and they usually have an existing audience comparable to the money that they're trying to raise. A solid idea, right, a sellable vision for the product or the service or the project is very, very important. Careful pre-planning and preparation. So I just went through the key components of putting together any crowdfunding campaign. There's other webinars coming up that I'll talk about the budget and how to plan out your crowdfunding campaign. You need to really consider that. A strong presentation, as I said earlier, ideally coupled with high production videos, and appealing reward structures. So I briefly went through that, the differentiation of rewards, and there is a video already, a webinar already on the iPledg platform discussing how to set up your rewards. And then an ongoing outreach to backers. You just can't put your project up and expect that now that it's up there, people will come. You really need to go out and promote it, market it, share it, do anything to let people know that you have a campaign up there. And you can do that, as I said, through effective social media, marketing, and PR strategies. So once again, I thank you very much for your time being on this webinar. Thank you, and I will take any questions.